And thank you for joining us now on Business Now. I am Franco Malape. President Muhammadu Buhari will on Friday present the 19.76 trillion 2023 budget to the National Assembly in Abuja. The presentation will take place at 10 a.m. at the temporary chamber of the House of Representatives. The Director General Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabueze, said the 2023 budget was prepared in tandem with extant federal government policies and guidelines as articulated in the 2023 budget core circular and other relevant laws and regulations. Buhari had in December 2021 signed the 2022 Appropriation Bill into law with an aggregate expenditure of 17.127 trillion naira, an increase of 735.85 billion naira over the initial executive proposal for a total expenditure of 16.391 trillion naira. Similarly, President Muhammadu Buhari also urged African sovereign government to accelerate their involvement in facilitating the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. He made a call at the second African Sub-Sovereign Government Network Conference in Abuja. At the event organized by the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, in collaboration with the Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF), Buhari commended Afreximbank and NGF for demonstrating innovative thinking by taking the AFSNet to the grassroots. Buhari said the AFSNet initiative, if properly harnessed, is a significant step for Africa to begin carving its own niche in the global value chain from the constituent unit up. President Chairman Afreximbank Benedict Orama emphasized the leading role that sovereign government are expected to play through the African Sub-Sovereign Government Network. And in the meantime, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) has export to India topped Nigeria merchandise trade with about 1.09 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2022. This was contained in its document entitled Commodity Price Indices and Terms of Trade for the second quarter of 2022. NBS added that the largest exported commodity to India was petroleum oils and oils obtained from bituminous minerals, crude about 1.008.58 trillion naira. This was followed by the liquefied natural gas valued at 48.39 billion naira and cashew nuts in shell valued at 18.5 billion naira. The Bureau said, on the other hand, Nigeria's import from India was valued at 459.20 billion naira. And now the Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chinyere Almona, has called on the government and other stakeholders to retool the economy, bearing in mind that it has not performed optimally despite the various policies deployed by various administrations. Almona regretted that the economy has transformed from a largely independent agrarian one to a net importer of finished goods and almost dependent on revenue from crude oil, a development that has exposed it to external shocks. Almona further noted that the various policy interventions have not had the desired impact on the sector. Unless there is effective and sustained protection and support for the sector and a dramatic improvement in infrastructure, the outlook for the sector will remain gloomy, particularly for the small-scale industry. She, however, urged the government to have a second look at its policies. And now the business environment is under pressure from heavy taxation, which is getting no return from the government. This is a submission made by Steve Okava, Securities and investment analyst, while appearing on IBrandTV's Business Breakfast on Tuesday. He was speaking in context to about 50 different taxes, levies, and fees imposed on organized businesses by local, state, and the federal government.
It's actually sad that companies in Nigeria are facing these huge challenges. Okay, if you look at power, for example, the first half of the year for 2022, companies quoted on the Nigerian exchange spent well over 200 billion to generate power alone for operations. And don't forget, these are companies that are expected at the end of the year to post profits, make return to investors, as well as, maintain, also make their employees happy by giving them good remunerations. So when you look at cost of generating power alone, we are not even talking of FX. We are not talking of high interest rates. You understand? So these are actually good challenges that companies operating in Nigeria are facing right now. And between you and me, when a company cannot break even, what you're saying in a nutshell is that the company should fold and then increase the problem of unemployment in Nigeria. So this is something that the government really, really needs to look into. Unfortunately, the government is looking for money right, left, and center. You understand? If you look at, for example, company income tax, which they have to pay, then after that, the investors, they pay withholding tax again when they are paying dividends. This one way or the other is crippling the companies. Ordinarily, our tax rate is not particularly too heavy in Nigeria. It's just that why this tax rate is becoming crippling is that most of these companies have to provide virtually every other thing for themselves, poor infrastructures. You understand? So this is actually what is weighing them. That's why the tax rate seems as if it is overburdened. If we have a very good operating environment where the government is doing what they are supposed to do and they are still charging this tax, then I think the companies can actually bear it. But they pay taxes to government, and at the end of the day, the government is practically virtually providing nothing.
And away from there now, the World Bank Group says Nigeria and other economies in sub-Saharan Africa are effectively tackling their economic challenges, including exchange rate crisis. In a report released on Monday, the bank said the management of the region's economies has improved, with the average score edging up to 3.2% in 2021 from 3.1% the previous year. It said in the 2022 country policy and institutional assessment report that the development reflected improved monetary and exchange rate policies. Analysis of the report shows that Rwanda maintained its highest CPIA score of 4.1%, leading rankings for the 7th year in a row. Kenya improved slightly with an average score of 3.8, joining Cape Verde with its unchanged score of 3.8%. Nigeria was number 21 on the list behind Benin and Senegal, which achieved an average score of 3.7%. And Benin upgraded its CPIA score in 2021 from 3.6% respectively. Despite the economic outlook, the Central Bank of Nigeria has urged Nigerians to keep hope alive, as forecast by three fiscal and monetary authority have shown that the economy will bounce back before or by the end of the year. According to the Apex Bank, in its communique at the end of Monetary Policy Committee meeting last week in Abuja, three fiscal and monetary authorities, the federal government of Nigeria, the International Monetary Fund IMF, and the Central Bank of Nigeria have given assurances that the economy will grow by 3.52%, 4.2% and 3.4%, according to IMF. The communique state members noted that though the global economy was progressively weakening due to the various headwinds confronting the recovery, in Nigeria, output growth has been sustained as a result of the combination of development financed interventions by the bank and fiscal stimulus by the federal government. And in the meantime, the Securities and Exchange Commission has stated that the non-interest capital market has enormous potential, capable of growing the market capitalization by 25% by the year 2025. A Director General Lamido Yuguda stated this during a meeting with the executives of Non-Interest Financial Institutions Association of Nigeria in Abuja at the weekend. Yuguda stated that the Capital Market Master Plan has a target that by the end of the planned period, 25% of the market capitalization in the capital market should come from the non-interest sector. He noted that the SEC has tried to attract interest to the product by encouraging private issuers show the potentials of the sukuk to other players in the market, while adding that the sukuk is a simple and powerful product. You've been watching Business Now, coming to you live from our studios. We take a commercial break now, and when we return, more news to come your way. Please stay with us.